He has not forgot about that lineage. Scattered, dispersed, called Negro, called nigger, called bywords and proverbs, sent to the four corners of the earth, mixed in, Hellenized, sausage, egg, and cheese biscuits, pork chops, running in Coliseum games, shooting each other on the street, gang violence, bloods, crips, homicide rate, poor health, leading in cardiovascular disease. Y'all said I ain't forgot about my people. The nations may forget, but I ain't gonna forget. I ain't gonna forget about the Transatlantic. I ain't gonna forget about Alligator Bay. I ain't gonna forget about Willie Lynch and lynched Negroes and pickaninnies. I ain't gonna forget. And that's the power of a living God that took a book that was always ours and made the enemy think, oh, this is for everybody. Just so he could get that book to the four corners of the earth, so that when he woke up the remnant of his people that was scattered because of their disobedience, he could wake them up with a snap of his finger. That's the love we're going to talk about in this video, y'all.
Right? Now look at these. I'm telling you, I got to show y'all. A picture speaks 1,000 words. Just look for yourself. And this is the creme de la creme. All praises be to the Most High, y'all. Everything we've been through, y'all, the Most High is going to retribute it on all the nations that have had a hand in the oppression of his apple, the apple of his eye, his chosen people, his beloved, his fervent lover, his only begotten. They're going to have their part in the lake of fire. You see them tormented by some kind of creature. I don't even know what that even is, y'all. Judgment in chains. He that led into captivity shall go into captivity. All praise to the Most High, y'all. It said, thou that dwells in the clefts of the rock. Whoa, I know a lot of y'all know about the Caucasus Mountains. Let's just let the words speak. Let's go to verse 4. Though you exalt yourself as the eagle, and though you set thy nest among the stars. And ethnicity is a cult. What's up, Zion Dynasty? This is your favorite dreaded Israelite, the man, the myth, and the legend, Mr. JB Zion. Y'all show me some love, show me some love. I love y'all from the bottom of my heart. Shalom, Zion Dynasty, and welcome back to the channel. First, I want to say peace, love, blessings, black power to the melanated nation, the chosen race of the Most High, Yoruba, B'nai Ephraim. Shalom to all my Israelite brothers and sisters. I also want to extend a warm peace, love, blessings, and prosperity to all our sojourners of Zion, all those Gentiles that's rocking with Israel. Peace, love, and blessings to all y'all as well. I love you guys. Y'all welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the lesson where we talking about history. We talking about Israel. We talking about DNA. We talking about the chosen people. We talking about eschatology. We talking about prophecy. We talking about everything, y'all. So y'all go ahead and smash that like button. I don't know what you're doing. And a lot of y'all, I've looked at the analytics. A lot of y'all watch but are not subscribed yet. What are you doing? Just smash the subscribe, turn on notifications, all that good stuff, and we're gonna get into it, you guys. So we have been setting up dramatically the Esau series that I plan on doing, where we're gonna go into who is Esau. Is he the white man? Is he some African tribe? Is he the Arab? We're gonna be dealing with it, y'all. We're gonna be talking about that, but before that, we have been looking at the Bible prophecies. Y'all check out all these videos. We've gone through the DNA, the Negro DNA that's found in Israel. We've gone through the oral tradition, the black Jews of Africa and in the Americas, attested to by Harvard. We talked about the oral tradition of the Yoruba that's in Oxford, Edith Bruder's book. We looked at the Cambridge Ulysses Santa Maria source. We looked at My True Ancestry that takes old bones and has linked our people to the Sephardic Israelites in Spain. We have gone through these things. Y'all, we've looked at the Lemba tribe video about how the Ashkenazi Jew himself had to admit that they were the children of Israel. We looked at the Igbo. We talked about the West Africans as a whole. We are the people. But now we have been looking at the creme de la creme, the very word of the Most High, that before all these science companies existed, Moses prophesied that our people will be in America, we will be in the land of the north, that we will be scattered to the four corners of the earth, that we will go into Egypt again on ships, that we will be carried by a nation as swift as the eagle flies, that we would have a yoke of iron around our neck, that our sons and daughters would be given to another people, that we would betroth the wife and another man would lie with them. Not just that, but we would be cursed in the field, cotton fields, cursed in the city, segregation. The power of the Most High Yah's word, y'all better talk to me, proves without any shadow of a doubt that only one race of people, only one family on the earth have gone through the full extent and the total brutality of the chastisement of a living God, that is the so-called African Americans, the so-called Negroes, the so-called niggers. Oh yeah, that was a part of the curses too. A byword and a proverb upon all nations. And not just that, y'all, but the Bible tells us that this would be a sign and a wonder upon us and our children forever. And forever means forever, right? That means that if you want to know how to get yourself a Big Mac, you look for the golden arches. If you want to know who are the children of Israel, you look for Deuteronomy 28's curses. Now, in the last video, y'all check that video out. I went exhaustively into these curses. Y'all, that was a great one. Y'all got to check that out. But we talked about how a lot of urban apologists will try to say that this was fulfilled through this captivity or this captivity. We know Israel never went back into Egypt on slave cargo ships as prophesied, right? We also know that Christ himself prophesied that after the Romans destroyed Jerusalem, that there would be another captivity that would fulfill Deuteronomy 28, where we would be led away captive unto all nations. That's pitted on the screen, me brother. So in Luke chapter 21, beginning at the verse 20, it says, "And when you shall see Jerusalem surrounded with armies, then will you know that the desolation thereof is near. Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains, and let them which are in the midst of the city depart up out that thing. And let not them that are in the countries come in." So if you're already in scattered European countries, do not come to Jerusalem when you see that smoke. You don't want that smoke, right? So Christ, now y'all check this out. Now we're setting up Esau. Y'all remember, I know I'm teasing it. I'm getting the hype up for the Esau series, right? Because I'm going to deal with Zepho. I'm going to deal with Angeas. I'm going to deal with Chittim. I'm going to deal with the book of Jasher. We going to deal with that thing. But check this out. Christ himself, when he was about to be killed as a baby from Herod, what did the angel of the Lord say? The angel told Joseph and Mary to go to Africa to hide. I repeat, the parents of Yeshua took that baby among a bunch of black folks to hide from the Edomite Herodian dynasty. Why is this important? Because it shows you that Christ was a black man. Paul was also mistaken as an Egyptian. But not just that. The Bible in Revelation chapter 12 prophesies that this great red dragon would persecute a woman that was pregnant with a man-child. So Revelation gives us a hint on the ethnicity of Herod, that he was red. He was an Edomite. And that he would go after this woman, Mary, during Matthew chapter 2, to kill the man-child. But in Revelation, it says it doesn't stop there. But that the red dragon's mission was to persecute the woman, those who keep the law of Yah, pitted on the screen. In the book of Revelation, chapter 12, verse 17, the word of Yah says, "And the dragon was angry with the woman, and went to make war with the remnant or the descendants of her seed, which keep the commandments of Yah and have the testimony of Jesus Christ." All praises be to the Most High Yah for that thing. Why did I catch so much drive? The urban apologists, these Christian flunkies, try to tell Israel that we don't matter no more. They try to tell Israel that your law, your customs, you saying you don't eat pork, none of that matters anyway. That's done away with in Christ. But check this out. The beast of Revelation comes against Yah's people. The great red dragon comes against the seed of Israel that keep their culture, that keep the law, statutes, and commandments, and have the faith of Yeshua. So Israel, there is nothing wrong with you rocking your Middle Eastern, your Torah lifestyle and believing in Yeshua, because the Bible knows that that is the great power that the kingdoms of this world, the Edomite red people, would persecute. And any other nigga sellout coon that sides with Edom is also a part of that losing team, because we win in the end, Zion. Let's go! So, the Bible shows us that in Revelation 12, this woman went into the wilderness. Now, Christ, we just read in Luke chapter 21, verse 20, he told Israel that when you see that smoke, you don't want that smoke, go to the mountains. What mountains was he talking about? Deeper into Africa. We know that the Middle East, so-called, is really Northeast Africa. The whole Middle East term is political. I think it goes back to the 1850s. It is a new concept. Middle East of what? It is Northeastern Africa. I have clips of Israelites that live in the land of Israel that prove that the Israelites, the Israelis, know that Israel sits on the same tectonic plate as the rest of the continent.
We consider Israel to be Northeast Africa. We are living here in the southern portion of Israel in what is known as the southern Judean mountains. So the Judeans were the people that actually lived in this portion of this land prior to it being named Palestine by the Romans. So this is what we consider to be Northeast Africa. We are sitting on the African tectonic plate. There are African species of birds and animals and plants that you'll find all throughout this region.
Why I took you here is that I want to show you that the country called Israel is sitting on the African tectonic plate. Now, we're going to go over here and I'm going to show you where Israel sits on the African tectonic plate, which means that Israel is Northeast Africa. Now, when we look at this map, this is the Sinai. Okay, this is the Red Sea. This is Egypt. This is the Sinai. This is Israel. All right, this is Saudi Arabia over here. Now, if you see this in Hebrew, it says Haluak Afrikani, the African plate. Here it is right here. Israel is sitting right here. Israel is sitting on the Haluak Afrikani, which means that Israel is Northeast Africa.
So Christ didn't say go flee to another country. He said flee deeper into this country, which was Africa. Why is this important? Our people had to run before the Romans caught them and sent them to the four corners of the earth. So in Luke chapter 21, verse 21, Yeshua, the red letter man himself, says, then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains, flee deeper into Africa, and let them which are in the midst of it, if you near the city, let not them that are in the other countries that had already been scattered, don't come back to Jerusalem. For these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written might be fulfilled. What are the all things that Yeshua is talking about? Deuteronomy 28, where they would be scattered. The great scattering that was prophesied in Deuteronomy 28 had not come to pass. This was fulfilled in the transatlantic slave trade. And Yeshua himself prophesied that thing. Why am I setting this up about the Gentile concept? Because that's what we're talking about in this video. It's because our people, after being scattered, will be further assimilated. Understand that in Matthew chapter 15, verse 24, Yeshua said it himself, that I'm not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. They were lost then. They were discontinued from their heritage then. A lot of Israel was Greek speaking. They was eating pork chops and slamming the bones on the floor. They didn't keep Torah. They were Hellenized then. Imagine what would happen when they were sold to the four corners of the earth. That's exactly what. Now we African Americans, now we Haitian black, Jamaican black, Puerto Rican black, Afro-Brazilian. We don't even know our history. We worship in wood and stone and all these nations that we've been scattered to. Understand, this is the concept of the Gentile scattered Israelites. Now, I know a lot of y'all had some smoke going on. They were like, well, JB, I thought that Paul was an Israelite. Let me explain. Now, you guys, we got to put our thinking caps on because it's a deep concept and it's hard to understand. Even the Apostle Peter said when talking about Paul, he said, our brother Paul writes some things that are hard to be understood. Why did he write cryptically like that? It's like, come by us, Yah, right? Our forefathers are known for having to speak in a cryptic language. Every letter that Paul wrote was screened by the Roman authorities. He had to use wisdom. He had to use tact. He had to use insight. Oh, JB, that sounds like some shicey stuff. Yeshua himself, the apostles asked Christ, they said, why do you speak in parables? He said, for the people that don't need to hear, I speak in parables. Why did he talk like that? The Roman authorities. Understand, family, during the time of Yeshua, there were so many Roman centurions that were on outposts in Judea, watching. Why? Because you had Judas the Zealot, you had the Sicaries, you had a lot of rebel rouser Israelites and would want to be messiahs that were rising up, and Rome was getting tired of that thing. And they said, if y'all keep doing this, we're going to destroy your whole nation. This is why the Pharisees crucified Christ, because they thought they were protecting their people. See, this stuff is deep, y'all. They thought that this brother was going to cause too much revolutionary chaos that the people would be utterly wiped out. But what the Pharisees didn't understand is that Rome did that thing anyway. And all you did was put on your hands the very blood of the Prince Mashiach himself. So understand, there was a lot of politics going on historically. That's why you need to know the who, what, when, where, and why when reading the scriptures. Paul wrote in certain cryptic language because every letter that he was writing from prison, the Roman authorities would screen to make sure that it wasn't no treasonous talk, because Paul was a Roman-born citizen. So when we're talking about the Gentiles that Paul was sent to, we have to know history, and we finna go into it, y'all. So upon Israel's disobedience, Israel will begin to go through a series of captivities. The first one was the Assyrian captivity. All of this started when Solomon was sleeping with all these women and his heart left the Most High. Solomon had a son. I believe this is in 1 Kings chapter 11, right? Solomon has a son, and y'all correct me, y'all put, it's in Chronicles as well. But Solomon has a son, Rehoboam. And Rehoboam, when Israel says you're going to have to do something about these taxes, Rehoboam says my pinky finger's stronger than my daddy jump. Read it for yourselves. And when this happens, the northern kingdom is like, to your tents, O Israel, we ain't having nothing to do with the house of Judah. The 12 tribes split into the northern kingdom, 10 tribes, and the southern kingdom, Judah and Benjamin, known as Judah. So the southern kingdom of Judah and the northern kingdom of Israel. Right when our people beef, the Assyrians come and conquer the northern kingdom. That's why I'm telling my people we need to unite. We don't have time to fight over the most petty and arbitrary things. No kingdom can stand divided. As soon as our people let our differences of opinion divide us as a family, the rest of the nations caught wind and conquered our people. And they sent the 10 tribes, the northern kingdom, into captivity. And after that, we had the Medo-Persian Empire. Then you had the Greeks. We're going to deal with the Greeks. Historically, you all know about Alexander the Great of Macedonia, of Greece, of Chittim, of the Mediterranean island European countries of Japheth. So, when Alexander the Great of the Greco-Roman Empire comes to power, the first policy he issues is a series of Hellenization. Everywhere he would send his company of troops, every territory they would conquer, they made them adopt the customs of the Greeks. Greco-Roman mythology, Hercules, Zeus, Aphrodite, Diana, Jupiter, Saturn, All of these different Greek concepts were law. And the Bible tells us in 1 Maccabees, the book they took out, that it was illegal to even call yourself a Jew. Y'all get the Apocrypha. I be telling y'all, get an Apocrypha. This is like $5, y'all. Get an Apocrypha, or you can get a Sefer Bible that has the Apocrypha within it. But a lot of this history was taken out. When the Greeks come to power, not only did they already conquer Israel because the kingdom split, but they made Israel have to abandon their history. So over time, if you're not keeping your customs, you will lose it. Science says if you don't use it, you lose it. And our people became disenfranchised from the heritage of our forefathers. This set the stage for Yeshua when the Romans came to full-blown power. When Christ came on the scene, Israel was already mixed in. You had Israelites that were calling themselves Gentiles or Greeks. They were living just like the other Greeks. Colosseum games, pork chops, running naked in the Colosseum games. This is a lot of American culture, y'all understand, because they're Roman descendants. But Christ came on the scene when our people were already lost in the sauce. Now let's fast forward to Paul. So Paul was born with the rest of these Europeans, as well as European Israelites that had been Hellenized. But Paul, some kind of way by the grace of the Most High Yah, his parents kept track of his heritage. In Acts chapter 22 verse 28, we see that Paul was a Roman-born citizen. Now, not just that, but in Corinthians we see that Paul was an Israelite of the tribe of Benjamin. So Paul is this Roman that has Roman citizenship, but ethnically is an Israelite. This is the equivalent of an African American. I'm an African American, but I know my Israelite lineage going back to the Yoruba Benai Ephraim people of the tribe of Ephraim. This is the same thing Paul was going through. You had Israelites that knew who they were, and a lot of them that didn't and were Hellenized. Let me give y'all some supplemental knowledge. So if you guys purchase Israel Redivivus, this has a Harvard stamp in it. Let me show you. Let me put it on the screen in case y'all think I'm just making it up. As you can see, this has the Harvard stamp, the Harvard University stamp in it. A lot of these books are hidden in these Ivy League institutions because a lot of our people ain't in there. And in that book, Israel Redivivus, the scholars believe and are quite confident that the Gentiles that Paul was going to were actually Israelites. Y'all check out that hidden chapter of Acts 29. Another chapter they took out the Bible, where Paul was going to Spain because he knew about the ancient Abarbanel, Sephardic, Spanish Israelites. Everything that motivated Paul was to regather the lost sheep of the tribe of Israel. This is the same mission Yeshua had, the same mission the 12 had, and this is the mission that Paul had. The Gentiles that Paul was going to were actually Hellenized Israelites. Let's look at some proof, y'all. Let's go to Galatians chapter 4 and let's deal with 4 verse 5. We got to end this, y'all. Now in the same book of Galatians, this is where the whole contention of neither Jew nor Gentile arises. Let's go to Galatians chapter 4, beginning at verse 5, and it reads, "To redeem them that were under the law, that we might receive the adoption of sons." Wait a second, y'all. Let's go back to Romans chapter 9 verse 3, because this piggybacks it. In Romans, recall that in chapter 9 verse 3 it reads, "For I could wish that myself were accursed from Christ for my people, my brethren, my kinsmen according to the flesh, who are Israelites. To them pertains the adoption." Whoa, wait a second now. To them pertains the adoption. Wait. Now let's go back to Galatians chapter 4 verse 5. "To redeem them that were under the law, that we might receive adoption of sons." Wait a second. If the adoption pertains to Israel, right? And it says to redeem them that were under the law, this is in the book of Galatians. Paul is talking to Israelites that had not adopted. So there you see Paul take possession of the Gentiles. He say that we might receive adoption. Not just that, y'all. Let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 10 and see what is this Gentile audience that Paul was dealing with. In 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 1, it reads, "Moreover, brethren, I would not that you should be ignorant, how that all our forefathers, were under the cloud and all passed through the sea." All praises be to the Most High Yah. Why am I saying that? He is telling the Corinth church that I would not have you ignorant of your history, that all of our forefathers were under the cloud. What is he talking about? The cloud by day and the fire by night. Israel when they were leaving Egypt. So why, if Paul was going to Gentiles, would he say that their forefathers were under the cloud? Is this some kind of spiritual thing? No. The audience he's talking to are actual Israelites because their forefathers came out of Egypt. Not just this, you guys. Let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 2, and it reads, "Ye know that you were Gentiles, carried away unto these dumb idols, even as you were led." What does that mean? Understand that in times past you were made Gentiles when you were carried away in captivity to all these other gods, right? Even as you were led away captive. This is what Paul is talking about. Paul is dealing with this history. Paul is dealing with this history of Israel going into slavery, the curses of Deuteronomy 28, and being mixed into all these other countries and being Hellenized to worship these strange gods, these strange idols, right? So now where did Paul take it upon himself to go embark to find these scattered Israelites? Yeshua himself. In John chapter 7, verse 35, the Pharisees asked, "Where shall Christ go that we cannot find him? Shall he go among the scattered of the Gentiles, the diaspora that lived among the Gentiles, and teach the Gentiles?" Whoa, what is that saying? That in actuality, the Gentile mission started with Yeshua. This is why the Great Commission was for the apostles to go everywhere to regather Israel. This is the true gospel, y'all. Not just that. Let's go to John chapter 11, verses 47 through 54. This is where Caiaphas, the high priest, prophesies that Yeshua had to die, not just for Judea, but all the children of God that had been scattered. Now, were they right? They may have been right. Because in Yeshua's death, his life was so powerful that the Gentiles adopted the life of Yeshua as the religion for the entire world. This allowed our people that even when we went into captivity, we would always have access to our history. This is the people that Christ was going after. This is the people that Peter in 1 Peter chapter 1 says in his address that he's going to these scattered that live among these Gentile nations. Not just that, but the brother of Yeshua, James, in James chapter 1 verse 1 says that he is an apostle to the 12 tribes scattered. So the Gentiles that Paul was sent to were actually Hellenized Israelites. Now I'm going to drop a mystery on y'all. There is a hidden book that is called the Book of Tobit. And in the Book of Tobit, chapter 13, verse 3, let's just check it out. In the Book of Tobit, chapter 13, verse 3, the word of Yah reads, "Confess him before the Gentiles, ye children of Israel, for he hath scattered us among them." Whoa! This was way before Yeshua, even the time of Paul. But prophetically, in the book of Tobit, by the power of Yah's word, the prophet Tobit says, preach Yeshua, preach Christ among all the nations, O children of Israel, because Israel was commanded with the task of the ministry. No other group of people had that responsibility to teach Yah's word and to preach the gospel other than blood Israelites. So it says, preach Yeshua among the Gentiles, O children of Israel, for he hath scattered us, our family, among these Gentiles. The Bible is the testimony of a family being restored. That's what it is. The Bible is the cultural heritage of the children of Israel. It was written by Israel, for Israel, to establish Israel as the governmental body, the world without end, by which all the nations would come into the perfect knowledge of the Creator through Yah's relationship with Israel. Israel is that kingdom of priests. Family, we have a responsibility. The way we treat one another, the way we walk in love, is to be an example unto all nations. The curses actually whipped us into shape because we went through so much hell that we as a people should have the kind of love that inspires all people. Because we don't have nobody else but ourselves, y'all. We have to stick together. But this was always the Father's plan, that Israel would be the ambassadors of the kingdom of the Most High Yah. We would be the kingdom of priests. We would be tasked with the oracle of heaven to show the nations in righteousness how to love, how to please the Father, how to please the Creator by keeping His law. This is the purpose of Israel, but Israel failed. Our forefathers failed. And the nations are, yeah, y'all fail, y'all. God don't love y'all no more. He done gave up on y'all. Not so. This is the power of a loving, powerful Yah. That even when we living like the prodigal son, even when we been Hellenized and mixed in and lost our heritage, Yah said, I ain't forgot. Even when we killing each other on the streets and suffering from socioeconomic poverty, our bodies suffering illness, we living worse than even the other nations. Yah said, I ain't forgot. I have never changed my heart towards my people. And this is why Gentiles should rejoice. Because this is the family that you want to be a part of. A loving, powerful God that justifies within himself saving and loving on the people. It's like in the movie Taken, where the father goes in and sees his daughter strung out on drugs. She don't even want to be free, but he picks her up and throws her on his shoulders and says, I will love you. I will save you. No matter what you done gone through, no matter how you look. See, Satan thought that if he can get Israel to look just like the nations, that when Yah judges the nations, now Satan is a suicide bomber. Now he can strap Israel to his chest and say, if you want to judge me, you got to go through your people. But the Most High said, I've justified their salvation through the blood of Yeshua. Y'all don't want to talk to me. And then I'm able to save them and justify them for my own name's sake, for the promise that I promised to Abraham. Y'all better talk to me. And this is the power of the love of the Most High Yah, and there's no love greater. There's no love like it. In Israel, we're meant to understand the full extent, the length, the breadth, the width of the love of the Creator towards the children of Zion, even Yasharal. That he loves us with an everlasting love, that he will never cast aside his people. That every time you see the sun shining so bright and the moon in the night sky, every time you see the stars shining in the night sky, every time you see these ordinances, know that the Most High has never given up on his people. There is no satanic doctrine. There's no satanic Christianity that these Europeans are pushing. There's no doctrine. There's no replacement theology. There's no eschatological prowess. There's no seminary penmanship that can do away with the place that Israel has in the heart of the Most High. That every time you see the ephod on the priest's chest with the 12 stones, it means Israel is always on the heartbeat of the Most High. Y'all better talk to me. So Israel, we matter. The Gentiles that Paul was sent to, Peter, James, Yeshua, were really the lost sheep of the house of Israel. It's really the Most High saying, I ain't never going to change my mind about my people. Moses said, Father, you can't change your mind because the nation's going to say you led these people out of slavery and look at them now. The Most High said, you're right, Moses. I'm never going to forsake my people. So with that, Zion, peace, love, blessings, and black power, know that you are the royalty of the earth. You are the gods of this earth. You are the ruling class of this earth. There's no greater people. There's no greater nation. There's no greater blood DNA pumping through the veins of a people than what goes through yours, Zion. Rep that broad nose, them big lips, that woolly hair, because we are the chosen people of the Most High Yah. So with that, family, peace, love, blessings, and black power to the chosen race of the Most High Yah. Y'all don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, support this ministry, cash out, however the Most High uses you. If you have any topics, comments, questions, concerns, reach out to me, email me, comment down below. I'm actually setting up some social media platforms so I can better engage with you guys, because I haven't really been using social media, you guys, but I plan on stepping all that up because I have to, because the family is growing exponentially, and I love you all from the bottom of my heart. We could not do this without the Most High's truth, without the Most High's word, and without y'all's love and support. Every comment y'all give me, it just had me feel like I can go through a brick wall, you know what I'm saying? And I can preach this word and I don't have to have any fear, because you guys are just encouraged by it, you're blessed by it. So I love you all, and y'all enjoy the rest of your day, the rest of your week. Peace, love, and blessings. Shalom. All praises.